The wind cut through Emma Torres like a knife. She wrapped her thin jacket tighter around her body, but it did no good. The jacket was too small and too old. It had holes in the pockets and a broken zipper. Emma had worn it for 2 winters now, and it barely kept her warm anymore. Snow fell heavily on the dark street. Emma's fingers were so cold they hurt. Her toes felt numb inside her worn sneakers. The sneakers had holes too. She could feel the wet snow seeping through the fabric, making her socks damp and frozen. Emma was 16 years old, but tonight she felt much older. She walked slowly down the street looking for somewhere warm. Anywhere warm. Her family's old car was parked 3 blocks away, and she didn't want to go back there yet. Her little brother Miguel was sleeping in the back seat. Her mother sat in the front, trying to stay awake. Her father had gone to his night shift job at the warehouse. They had been living in the car for 6 months now. 6 long, hard months. Emma remembered the day they lost their apartment. It was the day after her father's heart attack. The medical bills came fast and heavy. They couldn't pay rent anymore. The landlord gave them 2 weeks to leave. At first, Emma thought it would be temporary. Her father would get better. He would go back to work. They would find a new place. But nothing happened the way she hoped. Her father did get better slowly, but he couldn't do his old job anymore. The heavy lifting was too much for his heart. He found work at the warehouse, but it paid much less. It wasn't enough for rent and food and everything else. So they lived in the car. They moved every few days to different parking lots. Sometimes they stayed near the shelter, but the shelter was always full. Sometimes they parked behind the shopping mall. Sometimes near the park. Always moving. Always cold. Always tired. Emma stopped walking and looked up at the building in front of her. It was beautiful. The Whitmore Concert Hall stood like a palace of light in the dark, snowy night. Warm yellow light glowed from the tall windows. Emma could see chandeliers hanging inside. She saw people moving around in nice clothes. Everyone looked warm and comfortable. She had walked past this building many times before. She always stopped to look at it. The concert hall reminded her of her old life, the life before everything fell apart, back when she took piano lessons every Tuesday afternoon, back when she had her own bed and her own room, back when she went to school every day and had friends and felt normal. Emma missed the piano most of all. She had started playing when she was 7 years old. Her teacher, Mrs. Chen, said she had a gift. Emma practiced every day after school. She loved the way the keys felt under her fingers. She loved the sound of the music filling the room. Playing piano made her feel complete. It made her feel like herself. But she hadn't played a real piano in months. She couldn't take lessons anymore. There was no money for that. She had to leave her school when they lost the apartment. Everything changed so fast. One day she was a normal teenager with a normal life. The next day she was homeless. The word still felt strange to Emma. Homeless. She never thought it would happen to her family. Homeless people were other people. People she saw on the street and felt sorry for. But now she was one of them. Now people looked at her the way she used to look at others. Emma's teeth chattered. She couldn't feel her fingers anymore. The snow was getting heavier. She needed to get inside somewhere. She thought about going to the all-night diner 3 blocks away, but she had no money for food. They wouldn't let her stay long without buying something. She looked at the concert hall again. Through the glass doors, she could see the security guard sitting at his desk. He was an older man with gray hair. He wore a dark blue uniform. Emma took a deep breath and walked toward the doors. Her hand shook as she pulled the door open. A blast of warm air hit her face. It felt wonderful. Emma stepped inside quickly and the door closed behind her. The lobby was even more beautiful than she imagined. The floor was made of shiny marble. A huge chandelier hung from the ceiling. Everything sparkled and gleamed. The security guard looked up from his desk. His name tag said Robert. He frowned when he saw Emma. She knew how she looked. Her jacket was dirty and torn. Her jeans had stains on them. Her hair was messy and wet from the snow. She looked exactly like what she was. "A homeless girl, can I help you?" Robert asked. His voice wasn't mean, but it wasn't friendly either. It was the voice of someone who had seen trouble before. Emma's heart pounded. She almost turned around and left. But the cold outside was too much. She needed to stay warm even if just for a little while. "I'm sorry to bother you," Emma said quietly. Her voice shook. "It's really cold outside. The snow is bad. Could I just sit in here for a little while? Just until the storm calms down? I won't cause any trouble. I promise. Robert studied her carefully. He saw the holes in her jacket. He saw her wet shoes. He saw the desperate look in her eyes. He had worked at the concert hall for 15 years. He had seen all kinds of people. Rich people in fancy clothes, famous musicians, important business people. But he had never seen someone like Emma walk through those doors. There's a shelter 2 miles from here, Robert said, but his voice was softer now. They might have space tonight. I know, Emma said. I tried there already. They're full. They're always full when it snows. This was true. Emma had been to the shelter many times. It was a good place, but there were too many people and not enough beds. On cold nights like this, people lined up hours before the doors opened. Emma's family never got there early enough. Robert sighed. He thought about his own daughter. She was about Emma's age. She was home right now, warm and safe in her bedroom. She was probably doing homework or watching videos on her phone. She had never spent a single night without a bed. She had never gone hungry. She had never been cold like this girl in front of him. All right, Robert said finally. You can sit in the lobby for a while. But just the lobby. Don't go into the concert hall itself. There are auditions tonight. Important people are here. Don't cause any problems. Relief flooded through Emma. Thank you, she said. Thank you so much. I won't cause problems. I promise. She walked to a bench near the wall and sat down. The bench was padded with soft red velvet. It was the most comfortable thing Emma had sat on in months. The warmth of the building wrapped around her like a blanket. She closed her eyes for a moment and just felt it. Just enjoyed being warm. Slowly, feeling came back to her fingers. The painful tingling made her wince, but she was grateful for it. It meant her fingers weren't frozen anymore. She rubbed her hands together, trying to warm them faster. Emma opened her eyes and looked around the lobby. Everything was so fancy, so clean, so beautiful. It felt like a different world. A world she used to be part of but wasn't anymore. She could hear music coming from somewhere deep in the building. It was faint but clear. Someone was playing violin. The sound was lovely, but it made Emma's heart ache. She missed making music. She missed it so much it hurt. Then Emma saw it. In the corner of the lobby, near a set of double doors, sat a grand piano. It was smaller than a full concert grand, but still beautiful. The wood was polished to a deep shine. The keys were bright white and black. A small sign next to it said, "Practice piano, handle with care." Emma stared at the piano. She couldn't look away. Her fingers itched to touch those keys. She hadn't played a real piano since the day they lost the apartment. She had practiced on the old keyboard at the public library a few times. But it wasn't the same. The keys didn't feel right. The sound was flat and electronic. It didn't have the soul of a real piano. She told herself not to do it. She told herself to just sit quietly and be grateful for the warmth. Don't draw attention. Don't make problems. Don't give Robert a reason to make her leave. But the piano pulled at her like a magnet. Every minute she sat there, the pull got stronger. She couldn't help it. Music was part of her. It was in her bones and her blood and her heart. Being near a piano and not playing it felt like torture. Emma looked over at Robert. He was busy with paperwork at his desk. He wasn't watching her. The lobby was mostly empty. A few people in nice clothes walked through, heading toward the concert hall doors. They didn't look at her. To them, she was invisible. Emma made a decision. She stood up slowly and walked toward the piano. Her heart hammered in her chest. Her hands shook, but not from the cold anymore. She was nervous and excited and scared all at once. She reached the piano and stood in front of it. It was even more beautiful up close. She could see her reflection in the polished wood. She looked strange and out of place next to something so fine. Emma pulled out the bench and sat down carefully. The bench was the perfect height. She positioned her feet on the floor the way Mrs. Chen had taught her. Heels down, toes ready. She placed her hands over the keys but didn't touch them yet. What should she play? She knew so many pieces by heart. Mozart, Chopin, Beethoven, contemporary songs she had learned from videos online. During the long nights in the car when she couldn't sleep, she practiced the pieces in her mind. She moved her fingers on invisible keys. She heard the music in her head. It was the only way she could keep playing. Emma decided on a piece by Ludovico Einaudi. It was called Nuvole Bianche, White Clouds. The piece was beautiful and sad. It was about longing and hope and loss. It felt right for this moment, for this feeling in her chest. She took a deep breath and let her fingers fall gently on the keys. The first note rang out clear and pure. It echoed in the marble lobby. Emma closed her eyes and let the music take over. Her fingers remembered what to do. They moved across the keys like they had never stopped. The muscle memory was still there, buried deep but not forgotten. The melody flowed from her hands. Soft at first, then stronger. The music grew and swelled. Emma forgot where she was. She forgot about the cold outside. She forgot about the car and the shelter and the worry that never left her chest. There was only the music, only the piano, only this moment of perfect connection between her heart and her hands and the sound filling the air. The piece built to its emotional peak. Emma's hands moved faster, pressing harder. Her whole body moved with the music. She swayed slightly on the bench. Her face showed everything she felt. The pain of the last 6 months. The fear, the exhaustion, but also the hope. The stubborn, refusing to die hope that things would get better. She didn't know that people had stopped to listen. She didn't see the way the lobby staff paused their work. She didn't notice the audition candidates who came out of the concert hall to see who was playing. She didn't see Robert stand up from his desk and stare at her in amazement, and she definitely didn't see Director Catherine Walsh step out of the concert hall and freeze in place at the sound of the music. Director Walsh had been at the concert hall since early morning. She had listened to 42 auditions for the youth orchestra program. Some were good. Some were acceptable. Most were technically competent but uninspiring. Young musicians who had been trained well but hadn't yet found their own voice. They played the notes perfectly but missed the heart of the music. She was tired and discouraged. Finding true talent was rare. Finding young people who had both skill and soul was even rarer. Most of the kids who auditioned came from wealthy families. They had the best teachers and the best instruments. They had parents who paid for everything and pushed them to succeed. But money couldn't buy passion. Money couldn't buy the kind of raw, honest emotion that made music truly beautiful. And then she heard it. A piano playing in the lobby. At first she was annoyed. Who was using the practice piano during auditions? It was distracting. But then she really listened to what she was hearing. She stopped being annoyed and started being amazed. The playing wasn't perfect. There were small mistakes. Some notes were rushed. Some dynamics were inconsistent. But none of that mattered. What mattered was the feeling, the emotion, the absolute honesty of the performance. Whoever was playing that piano was pouring their soul into it. Director Walsh walked quickly to the lobby. She had to see who was making this music. She pushed through the double doors and saw Emma at the piano, a teenage girl in ragged clothes. A girl who looked like she had been through hard times. A girl who was playing like her life depended on it. Director Walsh stood perfectly still and listened. The music washed over her. It had been years since she had heard something this moving, this real. Tears formed in her eyes. She wasn't a woman who cried easily, but this music touched something deep inside her. Emma played the final notes of the piece. The last chord hung in the air, then faded slowly. The lobby was completely silent. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Emma opened her eyes. She realized what she had done. She saw all the people staring at her. Her face went red with embarrassment. What had she been thinking? She wasn't supposed to touch the piano. She was just supposed to sit quietly and stay warm. Emma stood up quickly. Too quickly. The bench scraped loudly on the marble floor. "I'm sorry," she said. Her voice was small and scared. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I'll leave." She started to walk toward the door, toward the cold and the snow, but a voice stopped her. "Wait," Director Walsh said. She walked forward, her heels clicking on the marble. "Please wait. Don't leave." Emma stopped but didn't turn around. She was afraid. Afraid she was in trouble. Afraid she had made a terrible mistake. Afraid of so many things. Director Walsh came closer. She was a tall woman in her 50s with silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. She wore an elegant black dress and a string of pearls. Everything about her spoke of class and success and culture. She was exactly the kind of person Emma felt small around. "What's your name?" Director Walsh asked. Her voice was gentle but firm. Emma turned slowly. "Emma," she whispered. "Emma Torres." "Emma," Director Walsh repeated. That was beautiful. Truly beautiful. "Where do you study?" The question hit Emma like a punch. Where did she study? She didn't study anywhere. She lived in a car. She practiced on imaginary pianos in the dark. She hadn't had a real lesson in 6 months. I don't, Emma said. Not anymore. Director Walsh saw the pain in the girl's eyes. She saw the worn clothes and the wet shoes. She saw everything without being told. She had worked with young musicians her whole life. She understood struggle. She understood sacrifice, but she had never seen it quite like this. Come with me, Director Walsh said. Let's talk, please. Emma looked at the door. She looked at Director Walsh. She looked at Robert, who gave her a small, encouraging nod. She didn't know what was happening. But something told her this moment mattered. This moment could change everything. So instead of running away into the cold, Emma stayed. She followed Director Walsh through the double doors and into a world she thought she had lost forever. Director Walsh led Emma down a hallway lined with photographs. The pictures showed famous musicians and orchestras. Some were old black and white photos from decades ago. Others were newer and in color. Every face in those pictures looked confident and successful. Emma felt so out of place she wanted to disappear. They walked to a door at the end of the hallway. A gold nameplate read, Catherine Walsh, Director. Director Walsh opened the door and gestured for Emma to go inside. The office was warm and comfortable. Bookshelves covered one wall, filled with music scores and books about composers. A large desk sat near the window. 2 soft chairs faced each other near a small table. Please sit down, Director Walsh said, pointing to one of the chairs. Emma sat carefully on the edge of the chair. She was very aware of how dirty her clothes were. She hoped she wouldn't leave marks on the nice furniture. Her wet shoes were making small puddles on the carpet. She tried to tuck her feet under the chair where they wouldn't be seen. Director Walsh sat in the other chair. She didn't sit behind her big desk like a boss talking to an employee. She sat close to Emma like they were equals. Like they were just 2 people having a conversation. Would you like some hot chocolate? Director Walsh asked. Or tea, coffee? Emma's stomach growled. She hadn't eaten since noon, and it was now almost 8 o'clock at night. But she shook her head. No thank you, she said quietly. She didn't want to be any trouble. She didn't want to ask for anything. Director Walsh stood up anyway. She walked to a small table in the corner where a coffee maker sat. She poured hot water into 2 cups and added packets of hot chocolate mix. She brought both cups back and handed one to Emma. Drink it, Director Walsh said firmly but kindly. You look frozen. Emma took the cup. The warmth of it felt wonderful in her cold hands. She took a small sip. The hot chocolate was sweet and rich. It was the best thing she had tasted in weeks. She had to stop herself from gulping it down too fast. Director Walsh watched Emma drink. She saw how hungry the girl was. She saw how carefully Emma held the cup like it was something precious. In that moment, Director Walsh understood that Emma had been without comfort for a long time. Tell me about yourself, Emma, Director Walsh said. How long have you been playing piano? Emma looked down at her cup. Since I was 7, she said. My teacher was Mrs. Chen. She taught me for 8 years, but I had to stop lessons 6 months ago. Why did you stop? Director Walsh asked gently. Emma was quiet for a moment. She didn't want to tell this important, successful woman about her problems. She didn't want pity, but Director Walsh's eyes were kind. They didn't judge. They just waited. My family lost our apartment, Emma said slowly. My dad had a heart attack. The medical bills were too much. We couldn't pay rent anymore. Now we live in our car. The words came out flat and emotionless. Emma had said them so many times now they didn't even sound real anymore. They were just facts. Just the way things were. Director Walsh felt her heart squeeze. She had suspected something like this, but hearing it confirmed was still painful. This talented girl, this child with such a gift, was living in a car. It was wrong. It was unfair. It made Director Walsh angry at a world that could let such things happen. And you haven't had any lessons since then? Director Walsh asked. No, Emma said. No money for lessons. I had to leave my school too. I practice when I can. Sometimes the library has a keyboard I can use. Sometimes shopping malls have pianos. I practice in my mind a lot. At night, when I can't sleep, I go through pieces in my head. I move my fingers on pretend keys. It helps me remember. Director Walsh was amazed. This girl had been without a real piano, without instruction, living in a car for 6 months. And she could still play like that? The performance Walsh had just witnessed wasn't just good. It was remarkable. It showed not only talent but incredible dedication. Emma had kept her skills sharp through sheer force of will. "The piece you played tonight," Director Walsh said. "I nowdy. How did you learn it?" "YouTube," Emma said. "Before we lost the apartment, I watched videos and learned it. I've played it so many times in my mind that I don't forget it. None of my pieces. I remember them all. Mozart, Chopin, Debussy.
I remember everything Mrs. Chen taught me."
I can't forget. Music is all I have now." Her voice cracked on the last words. Emma bit her lip hard. She would not cry. She refused to cry in front of this important woman. She had cried enough in the dark car at night. She had cried enough into her thin pillow while Miguel slept beside her. She wouldn't cry here. Director Walsh reached out and put her hand gently on Emma's arm. "Emma," she said softly, "what you just played out there was extraordinary. You have real talent. Not just skill, talent. Do you understand the difference?" Emma shook her head slightly. "Skill is something you can teach," Director Walsh explained. "Anyone with time and practice can learn to play notes correctly. They can learn technique and rhythm and dynamics. But talent is different. Talent is the ability to make people feel something when you play. It's the ability to pour emotion into music, to make it alive, to make it matter. That's what you have, Emma. I've been listening to auditions all day from students who have studied at the best schools with the best teachers. None of them played with the heart you just showed. None of them made me feel what you made me feel." Emma looked up at Director Walsh with wide eyes. She didn't know what to say. In the last 6 months, she had felt like nothing, like she didn't matter, like she was invisible. And now this famous director was telling her she had something special. "I run the youth orchestra program here at Whitmore," Director Walsh continued. "We train young musicians from all over the city. The best of them go on to study at conservatories. Some become professional musicians. It's a competitive program. We have auditions every year and we can only accept a few students." Emma's heart sank. She understood now. Director Walsh was being kind, but she was about to explain why Emma couldn't be part of the program. Because Emma was homeless. Because she couldn't afford it. Because she didn't fit in. Emma started to stand up. She wanted to leave before she heard the rejection. "Wait," Director Walsh said. "I'm not finished. Emma, I want to offer you a place in the program. A full scholarship. Everything paid for. Lessons, instruments, everything you need." Emma froze. She couldn't have heard that right. "What?" she whispered. "A full scholarship," Director Walsh repeated. "You're exactly the kind of student we want. Talented, dedicated, passionate. The circumstances of your housing situation don't matter to me. What matters is your ability and your drive. And you have both in abundance." Emma sat back down heavily. Her head spun. A scholarship? To study music again? It was everything she had dreamed about for 6 months. Everything she thought she had lost forever. But reality crashed in quickly. "I can't," Emma said, and tears finally came. They rolled down her cheeks before she could stop them. "I can't take it. I don't have a stable address. I can't give you school records because I'm not in school anymore. My family moves every few days. I never know where we'll be. How can I commit to a schedule when I don't even know where I'll sleep each night?" Director Walsh handed Emma a tissue from the box on the table. "Those are problems," she said calmly. "But problems have solutions. Tell me more about your situation. Your whole family lives in the car?" Emma nodded. She wiped her eyes with the tissue. "My mom, my dad, my little brother Miguel, and me. He's 10. Dad works nights at a warehouse. Mom works mornings at a diner. She finishes at 2, then picks up Miguel from school. I'm supposed to be studying for my GED, but I can't focus. We try to stay at the shelter when there's room, but usually there isn't, so we sleep in the car." "And during the day? Where do you go?" "The library mostly," Emma said. "It's warm. They have bathrooms. I can use the computers. Miguel does his homework there after school. Mom goes there too between shifts. We try to stay together as much as we can. What about your father's health? You said he had a heart attack." "He's better now," Emma said, "but he can't do heavy work anymore. The doctor said stress is bad for him. But how can he not be stressed? We have nothing. We lost everything. Every day is stress." Director Walsh was quiet for a moment, thinking. Emma watched her nervously. She probably shouldn't have said so much. She probably scared Director Walsh away. Who would want to deal with all these problems? But Director Walsh wasn't scared. She was calculating. She was planning. She had worked in the arts for 30 years. She knew how to solve problems. She knew how to find resources. And she knew that letting Emma's talent go to waste would be a crime. "Emma," Director Walsh said, "I'm going to be honest with you. You're right that your situation makes things complicated, but not impossible. I need to make some calls, talk to some people. There are organizations that help families in your situation, housing advocates, social services. The concert hall also has a charitable foundation. We help young artists who face financial difficulties. Let me see what I can do." "Why?" Emma asked suddenly. "Why would you do all that for me?" "You just met me. You don't know me." Director Walsh smiled. It was a sad smile, but genuine. "I told you. You have talent. Real talent, the kind I rarely see. And talent like yours shouldn't be wasted because of circumstances beyond your control. Every young person deserves a chance to develop their gifts. That's what I believe. That's why I do this work." She paused, then added more softly, "And because I was you once." Emma looked up in surprise. "You were homeless." "Not homeless," Director Walsh said, "but poor, very poor. I grew up in a tiny apartment with 6 siblings. My parents worked 3 jobs between them. We barely had enough food. We certainly didn't have money for music lessons. But I loved music. I taught myself piano on an old broken instrument in the church basement. The keys stuck. It was out of tune, but it was all I had. A teacher found me playing there one day. She gave me free lessons for years. She believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. She changed my life. Now I run this concert hall. I teach young musicians. And when I see someone like you, I remember that teacher. I remember what one person's belief can do." Emma stared at Director Walsh with new eyes. This elegant, successful woman had struggled too. She understood. She really understood. "I can't promise you anything tonight," Director Walsh said, "but I promise I will try. I'll make calls tomorrow. In the meantime, I want you to come back here. Come back on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. "Can you do that?" Emma thought about it. Wednesday, 2 days from now. She could get to the concert hall by 4. The library was only a few blocks away. "Yes," she said. "I can be here." "Good," Director Walsh said. She stood up and walked to her desk. She pulled out a business card and wrote something on the back. She handed it to Emma. "This is my cell phone number. If anything happens, if you need anything, call me." "Okay." Emma took the card carefully. She looked at the phone number written in neat handwriting. A famous director was giving her a personal phone number. It felt unreal. "There's one more thing," Director Walsh said. She opened a drawer in her desk and pulled out a white envelope. She handed it to Emma. "Take this." Emma opened the envelope. Inside were 5 $20 bills. $100. More money than Emma had seen in months. "I can't take this," Emma said quickly, trying to hand it back. "Yes, you can," Director Walsh said firmly. "Use it for food. Use it for whatever your family needs. Consider it an advance on your scholarship. When you join the program, you'll get a small stipend for expenses. This is just the beginning." Emma's hands shook as she held the money. $100. They could buy real food, not just cheap bread and peanut butter. They could get warm socks for Miguel. They could put gas in the car. They could maybe afford a motel room for one night and take hot showers. The possibilities made Emma dizzy. "Thank you," Emma whispered. "Thank you so much." "Don't thank me yet," Director Walsh said. "I haven't done anything but give you money and promises. Come back Wednesday. We'll talk more then. We'll figure this out together." Emma stood up. She felt like she was floating. Like none of this was really happening. Like she would wake up in the cold car and find it was all a dream. But the money in her hand was real. The business card was real. The warm hot chocolate in her stomach was real. Director Walsh walked Emma back to the lobby. Robert was still at his desk. He smiled at Emma when he saw her. He had heard her play. He had seen the crowd gather. He knew something special had happened. "Robert," Director Walsh said, "this is Emma Torres. She'll be coming here regularly from now on. She's one of our students. Please make sure she always feels welcome." Robert's smile got bigger. "Of course, Director Walsh, welcome, Emma." Emma mumbled another thank you. She felt overwhelmed. Everything was happening so fast. An hour ago, she was just trying to get warm. Now she had money in her pocket and a scholarship offer and people calling her a student. She walked toward the door, then stopped. She turned back to Director Walsh. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course," Director Walsh said. Why did you come out of the concert hall tonight? Why did you listen to me play? Director Walsh thought about the question. I heard something I haven't heard in a long time, she said. I heard honest emotion. I heard truth. In my work, I hear a lot of technically perfect performances that don't touch my heart. But your playing touched me. It reminded me why I love music. Why I do this work. So thank you, Emma. Thank you for playing tonight. Emma felt tears threatening again. She blinked them back and nodded. Then she pushed through the doors and walked out into the cold night. But the cold didn't feel as sharp anymore. The snow didn't feel as heavy. Emma walked quickly back to the car, her mind racing with everything that had just happened. When she reached the car, her mother was awake. She sat in the front seat with a worried look. Emma, where have you been? I was scared. I'm okay, Mom, Emma said, climbing into the back seat next to Miguel's sleeping form. Something amazing just happened. Something that might change everything. She pulled out the $100 in the business card. She told her mother everything. About the concert hall. About the piano. About Director Walsh, about the scholarship offer. About Wednesday's meeting. Her mother listened with wide eyes. When Emma finished, her mother started to cry. But they were good tears. Hope tears. My baby, she whispered. My talented baby. I knew your gift wouldn't be wasted. I knew it. They hugged each other in the cramped back seat. Miguel stirred but didn't wake. Emma felt something she hadn't felt in 6 months. She felt hope. Real, genuine hope that things could get better, that her dreams weren't dead, that maybe, just maybe, playing that piano tonight had changed her life. We have to tell your father, her mother said. He'll be so happy. So proud. When he gets home from work, Emma agreed. Let's tell him together. They sat in the car, warm with possibility. Outside, the snow kept falling. The night was still cold. They were still homeless. Nothing had changed yet. But everything felt different. Because now they had something they had almost lost. They had hope. Emma looked at the business card again. Catherine Walsh, director. The phone number written on the back. She would keep this card safe. She would guard it like treasure. Because it represented something precious. It represented a second chance. It represented belief. Someone believed in her again. Someone saw her worth. Someone thought she mattered. And that, Emma realized, was worth more than money, worth more than shelter, worth more than anything. Being seen, being valued. Being told you have something special to offer the world. That feeling filled Emma's chest until she thought she might burst with it. She lay down next to Miguel, pulling the thin blanket over both of them. Her mother climbed into the front seat to wait for her father. The car was cold, but Emma barely noticed. She closed her eyes and replayed the evening in her mind. The piano, the music, Director Walsh's kind eyes, the scholarship offer, the money, the promise of Wednesday. For the first time in 6 months, Emma fell asleep with a smile on her face. She dreamed of pianos and music and a future that looked bright instead of dark. She dreamed of warm concert halls and applause. She dreamed of her fingers flying over keys, making music that mattered, making music that touched people's hearts. And in her dreams, she wasn't homeless anymore. She wasn't struggling. She wasn't cold or hungry or afraid. She was just Emma. Emma the pianist. Emma the musician. Emma who had something special to offer the world. Emma who mattered. Emma who had been given a second chance. And she wasn't going to waste it. Wednesday couldn't come fast enough for Emma. The 2 days between Sunday night and Wednesday afternoon felt like 2 years. Emma counted every hour, every minute. She was terrified that something would go wrong, that Director Walsh would change her mind, that the whole thing had been too good to be true. On Monday morning, Emma's father came back from his night shift. Her mother told him everything that had happened. Emma watched her father's face as he listened. She saw hope light up in his tired eyes. Then she saw something else. Worry. This is wonderful, Mija, her father said, using his nickname for her. But we can't accept charity. We have to stand on our own feet. It's not charity, Dad, Emma said quickly. It's a scholarship. For my talent. Director Walsh said I earned it. She said I'm the kind of student they want. Her father was quiet for a long moment. Emma knew he was proud. She knew he wanted good things for her. But she also knew he felt ashamed. Ashamed that he couldn't provide for his family. Ashamed that his daughter had to ask strangers for help. Let's just see what they say on Wednesday, Emma's mother said gently. touching her husband's arm. Let's not make decisions before we hear everything. Emma deserves this chance. We can't let our pride take it away from her. Her father sighed deeply. Then he nodded. You're right, he said to Emma's mother. Then to Emma, you play beautiful, Mija. If these people see your talent, then we should be grateful. We should let you follow your dreams. I'm sorry I can't give you these things myself. Dad, don't, Emma said, her voice thick with emotion. This isn't your fault. You didn't choose to get sick. These things happen. We're still a family. We're still together. That's what matters. They hugged in the cramped car. Miguel woke up and joined the hug without really understanding what was happening. They stayed like that for a while, holding each other, finding strength in being together. On Monday and Tuesday, Emma tried to keep busy. She went to the library with Miguel after his school. She helped him with his homework. She practiced piano fingering on the library's old keyboard, though the keys were sticky and some didn't work at all. She studied for her GED test, though she couldn't concentrate. Her mind kept returning to Wednesday, to the meeting, to the possibilities. On Tuesday night, Emma tried to figure out what to wear. She wanted to look nice. She wanted to look like she belonged at a fancy concert hall. But all her clothes were old and worn. She had 2 pairs of jeans. One had a rip in the knee. The other had a stain that wouldn't come out no matter how many times her mother washed it in public restroom sinks. She had 4 shirts. All of them were too small or too big. Nothing matched. Nothing looked right. Her mother saw Emma's frustration. Wear the blue shirt, she said. It's the nicest one. I'll wash it tonight and it'll be clean for tomorrow. Mom, my clothes are terrible, Emma said miserably. I look like a homeless kid. You are a homeless kid, her mother said gently. But that doesn't define you. Your talent defines you. Your heart defines you. Director Walsh already saw you at your worst on Sunday. She still offered you a scholarship. What you wear tomorrow won't change her mind. Emma knew her mother was right, but it still bothered her. She wanted to make a good impression. She wanted to show Director Walsh that she could be professional, that she could fit in with the other students. On Wednesday afternoon, Emma's mother dropped her off at the concert hall at 3:30. Emma wanted to be early. She wanted to be ready. She wore the blue shirt, her leaf-stained jeans, and her worn sneakers. Her mother had done her best to clean the sneakers, but they still looked old and shabby. Good luck, Mija, her mother said. We'll pick you up at 6. Call if you need us sooner. Emma nodded and got out of the car. She watched it drive away, then turned to face the concert hall. It looked even more impressive in daylight. The building was tall and elegant, with huge columns at the entrance. Emma took a deep breath and walked inside. Robert was at his desk. He smiled when he saw her. Emma, good to see you again. Director Walsh is expecting you. Her office is still down that hallway, remember? I remember, Emma said. Thank you. She walked down the hallway past all the photographs of famous musicians. Her heart pounded with each step. What if Director Walsh had bad news? What if she couldn't help after all? What if this whole thing had been a mistake? Emma reached the office door and knocked softly. Come in, Director Walsh's voice called. Emma opened the door. Director Walsh sat at her desk, but she wasn't alone. Another woman sat in one of the chairs. She was younger, maybe in her 30s, with dark hair and glasses. She wore casual professional clothes and had a kind face. Emma, come in, Director Walsh said warmly. She stood up and gestured for Emma to sit in the other chair. I want you to meet someone. This is Maria Santos. She's a social worker with the Family Housing Initiative. Maria Santos smiled at Emma and extended her hand. It's nice to meet you, Emma. I've heard wonderful things about your musical talent. Emma shook her hand nervously. A social worker. That could be good or bad. Social workers could help families, but they could also take children away from their parents. Emma had heard stories about families getting separated, about kids going into foster care. Fear shot through her. Director Walsh saw the fear in Emma's eyes. She quickly said, Maria is here to help Emma, not to cause problems. I asked her to come because she knows about resources for families experiencing housing difficulties. She might be able to help your whole family, not just you. Is that okay? Emma relaxed slightly. Okay, she said softly. Emma, Maria said gently, Director Walsh told me about your situation. I want you to know that my job isn't to judge or to split up families. My job is to connect people with resources that can help them. Housing assistance, job programs, medical support. Things like that. I work with a lot of families who are going through tough times. You're not alone. How many families? Emma asked. In this city? Hundreds, Maria said. More than you'd think. Housing is expensive. One big emergency like your father's medical crisis can push a family into homelessness. It's not about being lazy or making bad choices. It's about a system that doesn't have enough safety nets. Emma appreciated that Maria didn't talk down to her. She spoke to Emma like an adult, like someone who could understand complicated things. Tell me about your family, Maria said. Director Walsh gave me some basic information, but I'd like to hear it from you. Emma told her story again. It was getting easier to tell. She explained about her father's heart attack, about losing the apartment, about living in the car, about moving between parking lots and trying to stay at the shelter when there was space, about her mother's job at the diner and her father's job at the warehouse, about Miguel and how he was still in school but struggled because he was always tired. Maria listened carefully. She took notes in a small notebook. She didn't interrupt. She didn't look shocked or disgusted. She just listened with focused attention. When Emma finished, Maria said, "Thank you for sharing that. I know it's not easy to talk about. Here's what I can tell you. There are several programs that might be able to help your family. First, there's emergency housing assistance. It's not perfect and there's usually a waiting list, but I can get your family on that list today if you want." How long is the waiting list? Emma asked. It varies, Maria said honestly. Sometimes a few weeks, sometimes a few months. But the sooner we get you on the list, the sooner you might get help. There's also a program for families with children. It prioritizes families like yours where there are kids under 18. That might move you up the list faster. Emma felt a flicker of hope. What kind of housing? Usually apartments, Maria said. Small ones, 1 or 2 bedrooms. They're not fancy, but they're clean and safe. The rent is subsidized, which means the program pays part of it and your parents pay what they can afford, based on their income. An apartment. A real apartment with walls and a door and heat. A place where Emma could sleep in a bed. Where Miguel could do homework at a table. Where her parents could cook real meals. It sounded like heaven. There's more, Maria continued. Your father's medical situation might qualify him for disability assistance. Not full disability because he can still work, but partial assistance. That would give your family a little more income each month. There are also food assistance programs, medical clinics that work on a sliding scale fee, programs to help your mother find better employment if she wants. Can we really get all these things? Emma asked. It seemed too good to be true. Maybe not all at once, Maria said. These programs take time. There's paperwork. There are requirements to meet. But yes, your family definitely qualifies for help. The question is just how fast we can get things moving. Director Walsh had been quiet, letting Maria explain. Now she spoke up. This is where the Concert Hall's foundation comes in. Our charitable foundation helps young artists pursue their dreams despite financial obstacles. We can provide immediate assistance while Maria works on getting your family into longer-term programs. What kind of assistance? Emma asked. We can help with temporary housing, Director Walsh said. There's a motel 6 blocks from here. It's clean and safe. The foundation can pay for your family to stay there for 1 month while we figure out more permanent solutions. Emma's mother rolled down the window. Emma, what's wrong? It's not even 5 o'clock yet. Nothing's wrong, Emma said breathlessly. Everything's right. Director Walsh wants to meet you. And there's a social worker here, Maria. She's really nice. They want to help us, all of us. You have to come inside, please. Her mother looked uncertain. She touched her hair self-consciously. I'm not dressed for meeting important people. I'm wearing my work uniform from the diner. Mom, it doesn't matter, Emma said. Please, this is important. They want to help our whole family. They can help us get an apartment, and they're offering to pay for a motel room for a month. Starting now, tonight, we can get out of the car tonight. Her mother's eyes widened. What, Emma, what are you talking about? Just come inside, Emma pleaded. I'll explain everything, but we have to go now. They're waiting. Her mother looked back at Miguel. Come on, mijo. We're going inside. Miguel looked up from his game. Why? Because your sister did something amazing, his mother said. And now people want to help us. They got out of the car. Emma's mother straightened her diner uniform. It had stains on it from working the morning shift. Her name tag said Rosa. She looked tired and worried, but she followed Emma toward the concert hall. Robert buzzed them through without question. Emma led her family down the hallway to Director Walsh's office. She knocked on the door again. Come in, Director Walsh called. Emma opened the door. Her mother and Miguel followed her inside. Miguel's eyes went wide when he saw the fancy office. He had never been in a place like this before. Director Walsh and Maria stood up. You must be Emma's mother, Director Walsh said warmly. I'm Catherine Walsh. Please come in. Sit down. Rosa Torres looked around nervously. She held Miguel's hand tight. I'm Rosa. This is my son Miguel. Emma told me you wanted to see us? Yes, Director Walsh said. Please don't be nervous. We have some good news to share with you. This is Maria Santos. She's a social worker who helps families access housing programs. They all sat down. Miguel squeezed onto the chair with his mother. The office felt crowded but warm. Emma watched her mother's face as Director Walsh and Maria explained everything again. She saw her mother's expression change from worry to confusion to disbelief to hope. A motel room, Rosa repeated. For a month, free? Paid for by the concert hall's charitable foundation, Director Walsh confirmed. You can move in tonight if you want. I have the paperwork right here. All you need to do is sign it and pick up the key. I don't understand, Rosa said. Why would you do this for us? You don't even know us. We know Emma, Director Walsh said. We know she has extraordinary talent. And we know that talent needs support to flourish. We want to help your whole family because helping Emma means helping all of you. You're a unit, a team. When one person in a family succeeds, it lifts everyone up. Maria added, Mrs. Torres, I've been doing this work for 8 years. I've seen a lot of families in situations like yours. Families who work hard but can't catch a break. Your husband works nights. You work mornings. You're doing everything right. You just need some support to get stable again. That's what we're offering. Support, not charity, support. Rosa's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Emma said quietly. Please, Mom, say yes. Rosa looked at her daughter. She saw the hope in Emma's eyes, the desperate hope that things could finally get better. She thought about sleeping in a real bed tonight, about Miguel having a desk to do homework, about taking a hot shower for the first time in weeks, about having a door she could lock, about feeling safe. Yes, Rosa whispered. Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you so much, Director Walsh smiled. Wonderful. Let me get the paperwork. For the next hour, they discussed details. Maria asked Rosa many questions about the family's situation. She wrote down information about Rosa's job, her husband's job, their income, their expenses. She explained the housing assistance program and what documents Rosa would need to provide. She gave Rosa her phone number and email address. She promised to start working on applications immediately. Director Walsh explained the motel arrangement. The foundation had already paid for 4 weeks. The motel was basic but clean. It had a small kitchenette where Rosa could cook simple meals. There was a bus stop right outside that would take Rosa to work and Miguel to school. The concert hall was walking distance for Emma. Speaking of Emma, Director Walsh said, we should talk about the scholarship now. She pulled out another folder and opened it. Inside were papers about the youth orchestra program, the schedule, the curriculum, the requirements. The program runs 4 days a week, Director Walsh explained. Monday through Thursday, 4 to 7 in the evening. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are free. Students study music theory, composition, ear training, and of course, their individual instruments. We also rehearse as a full orchestra twice a week. Does that schedule work for you, Emma? Emma nodded eagerly. Yes, absolutely yes. Good, now the scholarship covers everything. Lessons, materials, instrument rental if needed, even a small monthly stipend for transportation and other expenses. We also provide snacks during the breaks because we know students are hungry after school. Miguel perked up at the mention of snacks. What kind of snacks? Everyone laughed. It broke the tension in the room. Miguel grinned, happy to be part of the conversation. Good snacks, Director Walsh told him. Pizza sometimes, sandwiches, fruit, cookies, healthy stuff and treats. Can I come watch Emma? Miguel asked his mother. We'll see, Rosa said, but she was smiling. Emma could tell her mother was already imagining a better life. A life where Miguel could watch his sister play music in a beautiful concert hall, where they didn't have to worry about where they'd sleep each night, where they had a future to look forward to. There's one more thing, Director Walsh said. Emma, you'll need proper concert attire for performances. Black dress or black pants and white shirt. The foundation will provide that. We'll also get you better shoes. You can't perform in sneakers. Emma looked down at her worn sneakers, the ones with holes. the ones that let in water when it rained. Getting new shoes seemed like an impossible luxury. Emma also mentioned she was studying for her GED, Maria said. Mrs. Torres, is Emma enrolled in any school program right now? Rosa shook her head. No. We had to leave her school when we lost the apartment. The school district where we parked the car wanted all kinds of documentation we didn't have. It was too complicated, so Emma's been studying on her own. I can help with that, Maria said. There are programs for young people in unstable housing situations. Programs that are more flexible. I can get Emma enrolled in a GED program that meets at the community center. It's free, and they work with students who have complicated lives. Would you like that, Emma? Yes, Emma said. I want to finish school. I want to graduate. Then we'll make that happen, Maria promised. They talked for another 30 minutes. They made plans. They signed papers. They exchanged phone numbers. By the time they were done, it was after 6 o'clock. But nobody minded. They had accomplished so much. Director Walsh walked them all to the lobby. Emma, your first official class is next Monday at 4. Don't be late. And come ready to work. We have a concert in 3 months and you'll be performing in it. A concert? Emma said. Already? Already, Director Walsh confirmed. You're joining mid-year, so you'll have to catch up fast. But I believe you can do it. You have the talent and the drive. That's all you need. Emma felt excited and scared at the same time. A real concert. On a real stage. In front of real people. It was everything she had dreamed about for 6 months. Everything she thought she'd lost forever. They said their goodbyes and thank yous. Emma, Rosa, and Miguel walked out of the concert hall into the cool evening air. But it didn't feel cold anymore. Nothing felt cold. They felt warm with possibility. We have to go tell your father, Rosa said. He's going to be so happy, so proud. They drove to the warehouse where Emma's father worked. They waited outside until his break. When he came out and heard the news, he cried. Emma had never seen her father cry before. He held them all and cried with relief and gratitude and joy. That night they checked into the motel. The room was small and simple, but to them it was a palace. There were 2 beds with clean sheets, a bathroom with a real shower, a TV, a small kitchen area with a microwave and mini fridge, windows with curtains, a door that locked. Heat that worked. Miguel jumped on the bed. This is amazing, he shouted. We have a TV. Rosa laughed. Don't jump on the bed. You'll break it, but she was laughing. They were all laughing, crying and laughing at the same time. Emma turned on the shower just to watch the hot water run. Steam filled the bathroom. It was the most beautiful thing she had seen in months. That night, Emma slept in a real bed for the first time in 6 months. She had a pillow and a blanket and sheets. Miguel snored softly in the other bed. Her parents slept on the pull-out couch. Everyone was warm. Everyone was safe. Everyone was together. Emma lay in the dark and thought about everything that had happened. 4 days ago, she was just trying to get warm. She had walked into a concert hall and asked to sit in the lobby. She had played a piano without permission, and that one moment of courage had changed everything, had opened doors she thought were closed forever. Monday afternoon arrived faster than Emma expected. The days between Wednesday and Monday had been a blur of activity. Her family settled into the motel room. Her father worked his shifts at the warehouse. Her mother kept her job at the diner. Miguel went to school like a normal kid, and Emma prepared for her first day in the youth orchestra program. Maria Santos had been true to her word. She called Emma's mother 3 times over the weekend. She helped Rosa fill out applications for housing assistance. She found a GED program for Emma that started in 2 weeks. She connected Emma's father with a medical clinic that could monitor his heart condition for free. She was making things happen fast. But Emma tried not to think too much about all the adult things happening in the background. She focused on what she could control: music, piano, preparation. On Monday morning, Emma went to the public library. She used the computer to watch videos about music theory. She hadn't studied theory formally in 6 months, and she was worried about being behind. She took notes in a small notebook she had bought with some of the money Director Walsh had given her. She practiced scales and arpeggios on the library's keyboard. She was determined to be ready. At 3:30, Emma walked to the concert hall. She arrived early again. She didn't want to be late on her first day. She wore her cleanest clothes. Her mother had washed everything in the motel's laundry room. Emma looked better than she had in months, though her clothes were still obviously old and worn. Robert waved at her when she entered. "Big day, Emma. Ready to officially become a student here?" "I think so," Emma said nervously. "I hope so. You'll do great," Robert assured her. "Director Walsh doesn't make mistakes about talent. If she believes in you, you should believe in you too." Emma smiled at him gratefully. Robert had become a friend. He always greeted her warmly. He always made her feel welcome. She would never forget that he was the first person to show her kindness at the concert hall. Director Walsh met Emma in the lobby at 10 minutes before 4. "Are you ready?" she asked. "Yes," Emma said. Then more honestly, "I'm really nervous." "That's normal," Director Walsh said. "Every student is nervous on their first day. But you have nothing to worry about. You belong here just as much as anyone else. Remember that." She led Emma down a different hallway. This one had practice rooms on both sides. Emma could hear different instruments being played behind closed doors. A violin, a cello, a flute. The sounds mixed together in a chaotic but beautiful way. They came to a large room at the end of the hallway. Director Walsh opened the door. Inside was a classroom set up with chairs and music stands arranged in a semicircle. A whiteboard covered one wall. A piano sat in the corner. About 15 students were already there, talking and laughing with each other. Everyone stopped and looked when Emma walked in. She felt their eyes on her. She saw them notice her cheap clothes, her worn sneakers. She saw them wondering who she was and why she was there. Director Walsh clapped her hands. "Everyone, attention please. I want to introduce someone. This is Emma Torres. She's joining our program starting today. Emma is a pianist and she has extraordinary talent. I expect all of you to make her feel welcome." A few students smiled politely. Most just stared. Emma wanted to disappear. She hated being the center of attention. She hated feeling different. "Emma, why don't you sit over there?" Director Walsh pointed to an empty chair near the piano. "We'll get started in just a few minutes." Emma sat down quickly. She kept her eyes on her lap. She could hear students whispering to each other. She couldn't hear the words, but she knew they were talking about her, judging her, wondering why she was there. A girl sat down in the chair next to Emma. She had long black hair in a neat braid. She wore nice jeans and a pretty sweater. Her shoes looked new and expensive. She smiled at Emma. "Hi," the girl said. "I'm Sophia. I play violin." "What do you play?" "Piano," Emma said quietly. "Cool," Sophia said. "We could use another good pianist. Our last one graduated last year. Most of these kids play strings or winds. Do you know music theory?" "A little," Emma said. "I'm probably behind everyone else." "Don't worry about it," Sophia said kindly. "Director Walsh teaches theory in a way that makes sense. You'll catch up fast. How long have you been playing piano?" 9 years, Emma said. "Well, sort of. I haven't had real lessons for a while." She didn't explain why. She didn't want to tell this nice girl about living in a car, about being homeless, about losing everything, but Sophia just nodded. "I get it. Lessons are expensive. My parents sacrifice a lot to pay for mine. Do you go to school around here?" "I'm studying for my GED," Emma said. That was true enough. "Oh, cool," Sophia said. "My cousin did that." She said the test wasn't too hard. Emma relaxed slightly. Sophia wasn't judging her. She was just being friendly. Maybe not everyone here would be mean or stuck up. Director Walsh walked to the center of the room. Everyone got quiet immediately. She commanded respect without even trying. "Welcome back, everyone," Director Walsh said. "I hope you all had a good weekend. Let's start with some announcements. First, as you all know, we have our winter concert in 3 months. That means we need to finalize our program and start serious rehearsals. Second, we have our new pianist Emma joining us. Please make her feel part of the team. And third, I'm adding a new piece to our concert program. Something challenging. Something that will push you all to be better." Excited murmurs filled the room. The students loved challenges. They loved showing what they could do. But first, Director Walsh continued, "Let's do our usual Monday theory session. Everyone get out your notebooks. We're going to review chord progressions today." The next hour was intense. Director Walsh taught music theory the way a general might teach battle strategy. She was demanding but clear. She asked questions constantly. She made students come to the board to write out chord progressions. She corrected mistakes immediately but never in a mean way. Emma struggled to keep up at first. There were terms she didn't remember. concepts that felt rusty after 6 months without formal instruction. But she wrote down everything. She raised her hand when she didn't understand. She asked questions even though she was afraid of looking stupid. Director Walsh seemed pleased with Emma's questions. Good question, Emma. That's exactly the kind of thinking we need. Music theory isn't about memorizing rules. It's about understanding why music works the way it does. After the theory session, they had a break. Students got snacks from a table at the back of the room. Emma saw pizza slices, fruit, cookies, and juice boxes. Her stomach growled. She hadn't eaten since noon. Sophia grabbed 2 slices of pizza and brought one to Emma. Here, the pizza goes fast. You have to grab it quick. Thank you, Emma said. She bit into the pizza. It was still warm. It tasted amazing. She had to stop herself from eating too fast. So what kind of music do you like to play? Sophia asked between bites. Everything, Emma said. Classical mostly. But I also like contemporary composers. Einaudi, Yeruma, Philip Glass. I like music that tells stories. Music with emotion. Have you heard the piece we're performing in the concert? Sophia asked. It's by Tchaikovsky. The Serenade for Strings. It's beautiful but really hard. Emma shook her head. I don't think I know it. Director Walsh will probably give you the piano part soon. It's going to take a lot of practice. But if you've been playing for 9 years, you can probably handle it. Emma hoped Sophia was right. She couldn't let Director Walsh down. She couldn't let anyone down. After the break, they moved to the large rehearsal hall. This was where the full orchestra met. The room was enormous. A stage took up one end. Rows of chairs with music stands filled the space. The piano sat on the stage, gleaming under the lights. Emma's heart raced as she climbed the stage steps and sat at the piano. She had never played on a stage before. She had never performed for an audience. Her only experience was practicing in her old living room or at the library. This was completely different. This was real. Director Walsh distributed sheet music to everyone. Today we're going to run through the Tchaikovsky. Then we'll work on individual sections that need improvement. I want to hear what we sound like right now so I know what we need to fix. The students got ready. Violins were tuned. Cellos were positioned. Flutes and clarinets were assembled. Emma looked at the piano part in front of her. The notes danced across the page. It was complicated. Lots of fast runs. Tricky rhythms. This was going to be hard. Director Walsh raised her hands. Let's start from the beginning. Count in, and Emma, don't worry if you make mistakes. This is your first time seeing this music. Just do your best, the music began. The strings came in first with the main melody. It was beautiful and flowing. Emma counted carefully, waiting for her entrance. When it came, she played. Her fingers moved over the keys, following the notes as best she could. She made mistakes. Several of them. She stumbled over a fast passage. She came in a beat late in one section. She played a wrong note that made her wince. But she kept going. She didn't stop. She pushed through like Mrs. Chen had taught her years ago. When you make a mistake in a performance, you keep playing. You never stop. The piece ended. Emma's hands were shaking. She had messed up so much. Everyone probably thought she was terrible. Director Walsh probably regretted giving her the scholarship, but Director Walsh was smiling. Everything's fine, Emma said quickly. I just need to ask you something. Of course. Come to my office. They walked together down the familiar hallway. Once inside the office, Director Walsh said, What's on your mind? Emma took a deep breath. I need to practice. The Tchaikovsky piece and everything else. But I don't have a piano. At the motel. I was wondering if maybe I could use one of the practice rooms here before class starts. I'll come as early as you want. I won't get in anyone's way. I just need somewhere to practice. Director Walsh looked at Emma thoughtfully. That's a very good question. And yes, of course you can use the practice rooms. In fact, I should have thought of that myself. Here's what we'll do. I'll give you a key card that lets you into the building. You can come here any time between 8 in the morning and 9 at night. Any day of the week. Use any practice room that's open. There's almost always at least one available. Emma couldn't believe what she was hearing. Really? I can come anytime? Anytime during those hours, Director Walsh confirmed. The building is staffed and safe during those times. After 9, we have security concerns, so I can't allow students to be here alone. But during the day, you're welcome. Actually, I encourage it. The students who practice the most are the ones who improve the fastest. She pulled out a key card from her desk drawer and wrote Emma's name on it with a marker. "This is yours. Don't lose it, and Emma, I'm glad you asked. Asking for what you need isn't a weakness. It's a strength. Remember that." Emma took the key card like it was made of gold. "Thank you. Thank you so much. Don't thank me. Just use it. Practice hard. Make yourself better. That's all the thanks I need." From that day on, Emma came to the concert hall every day. She arrived at 8:30 in the morning, right after her mother dropped Miguel off at school. She practiced in the practice rooms for hours. She worked on the Tchaikovsky piece until her fingers knew every note by memory. She practiced scales until they were smooth and even. She studied theory from books she borrowed from the concert hall's library. The other students started to notice her dedication. They saw her there early every morning. They saw her staying late after rehearsals. They heard her practicing through the thin walls of the practice rooms. Some admired her work ethic. Others thought she was showing off. But everyone acknowledged that Emma was serious. Sophia became Emma's friend. They practiced together sometimes. Sophia would work on her violin parts while Emma worked on piano. They helped each other with theory homework. They quizzed each other before tests. Sophia never asked about Emma's home situation, and Emma was grateful for that. But not everyone was friendly. There was a boy named Marcus who played cello. He came from a wealthy family. His parents were both doctors. He had studied at expensive music schools his whole life. He didn't think Emma belonged in the program. "I heard she got a pity scholarship," Marcus said one day during break. He said it loud enough for Emma to hear. "She's homeless or something." Director Walsh felt sorry for her. Emma's face burned. She pretended not to hear. She kept eating her snack and looking at her sheet music, but Sophia heard. She turned to Marcus with fire in her eyes. "Who cares how she got here? She's good. Really good. Better than half the people in this program. And she works harder than anyone, so maybe you should worry about your own playing instead of gossiping about someone else." Marcus looked embarrassed. He muttered something and walked away. Sophia sat down next to Emma. "Don't listen to him. He's just jealous because you're getting better faster than he is." "It's okay," Emma said quietly, but it wasn't okay. It hurt to know that people were talking about her, judging her, thinking she didn't deserve to be there. That night, Emma almost quit. She thought about telling Director Walsh that she couldn't do it anymore, that she didn't fit in, that she should give the scholarship to someone else who actually belonged. But then she thought about her family, about her mother working hard at the diner, about her father's weak heart, about Miguel who looked up to her, about Director Walsh who believed in her, about the chance she had been given. Emma decided she wouldn't quit. She would prove everyone wrong. She would work so hard that nobody could question whether she belonged. She would be so good that her talent would speak for itself. So she practiced even more. She arrived earlier. She stayed later. She pushed herself until her fingers ached and her back hurt from sitting at the piano. She memorized not just her own parts, but everyone else's too. She learned every detail of every piece they were performing. Director Walsh noticed. "Emma, you're going to burn yourself out. You need to rest sometimes too." "I'm fine," Emma said. "I love practicing. It doesn't feel like work." "I understand," Director Walsh said. "I was the same way when I was your age. But balance is important. Music should bring you joy, not stress. Don't forget that." Emma knew Director Walsh was right. But she couldn't help herself. Practicing was the only time she felt completely in control. The only time she could forget about all her problems and just focus on something beautiful. Weeks passed. Emma improved dramatically. The Tchaikovsky piece that had seemed impossible on the first day became manageable, then comfortable, then easy. She could play it with her eyes closed. She could play it with expression and feeling. She made it her own. The concert was 6 weeks away, then 4 weeks, then 2 weeks. Rehearsals became more intense. Director Walsh pushed everyone harder. She demanded perfection. She accepted nothing less than everyone's best. Emma thrived under the pressure. She loved the challenge. She loved feeling her skills grow. She loved being part of something bigger than herself. The orchestra was becoming a real team. They listened to each other. They supported each other. They made music together. Even Marcus stopped making mean comments. He saw how good Emma was. He saw that she earned her place. He started asking her questions about piano technique. They weren't friends. but they weren't enemies anymore either. 2 days before the concert, Director Walsh made an announcement. "I've been very impressed with all of you this season. You've worked hard and improved tremendously. I'm proud of what we've built together. For the concert, I want to feature some solo performances between the full orchestra pieces. Emma, I'd like you to perform a piano solo. Something of your choice, something that showcases your artistry." Emma's heart stopped. A solo in front of an audience? She had never performed alone before. She had always imagined her first performance would be safe, hidden in the middle of an orchestra, but a solo meant everyone would be watching her. "Just her. I don't know if I can," Emma said. "You can," Director Walsh said firmly. "Choose something you love, something that means something to you. You have 2 days to prepare. I believe in you." That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She thought about what to play. She wanted something meaningful, something that told her story without words, something that would make sense of everything she had been through. And then she knew. She would play Nouvelle Bianche by Einaudi, the piece she had played that first night in the lobby, the piece that had changed her life, the piece that had brought Director Walsh out of her meeting to listen. It was perfect. Emma spent every free moment the next 2 days practicing. She played Nouvelle Bianche over and over until it was flawless, until every note carried the weight of her emotion, until the music told her whole story. The loss, the pain, the struggle, the hope, the triumph. The night before the concert, Emma's family came to the concert hall for the final dress rehearsal. Director Walsh had invited them. She wanted them to see what Emma had been working on. Emma's father had never seen her play in a formal setting before. He had never seen her on a stage with a real piano and proper lighting. When Emma played her solo during the dress rehearsal, tears streamed down his face. His little girl, the one who used to practice on their old upright piano in their small apartment, was now performing like a professional. After the rehearsal, Emma's father hugged her tight. "You're going to be a star, Mija. You're going to do things I never dreamed of. I'm so proud of you," Miguel said. "That was so cool. You looked like you were in a movie." Her mother just smiled and kissed Emma's forehead. She didn't need words. Her pride showed in her eyes. That night in the motel room, Emma couldn't sleep. Tomorrow was the concert. Tomorrow she would perform in front of a real audience. Tomorrow she would prove to everyone, including herself, that she belonged, that she was worthy, that she was good enough. She lay in the dark and thought about everything that had led to this moment. The freezing night when she asked to sit in a warm lobby. The piano she couldn't resist playing. Director Walsh coming out to listen. The scholarship. The support. The practice. The hard work. All of it had brought her here. To this moment. To this chance, Emma made a promise to herself. Tomorrow night she would play like her life depended on it, because in a way it did. Tomorrow night she would show everyone what she was capable of. Tomorrow night she would make beautiful music. And nothing else would matter. Not the worn shoes. Not the cheap clothes. Not the homeless shelter. Not the car they used to live in. None of it. Tomorrow night she would just be Emma the musician. Emma the artist. Emma who had something important to say through her music. And the whole world would listen. The day of the concert arrived with bright winter sunshine. Emma woke up early, her stomach tight with nerves. She had barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the stage, the piano, the audience, the moment when she would have to play alone. Her mother was already awake, making coffee in the small motel kitchenette. "Big day, Mija. How are you feeling?" "Terrified," Emma admitted. "That's normal," her mother said. "But remember, you've practiced so hard. You're ready. You're more than ready." Emma's father came back from his night shift at 8. He looked tired but excited. "My daughter's concert day. I wouldn't miss this for anything. I'm going to sleep for a few hours, then we'll all go together." Miguel was bouncing with energy. "Can I wear my nice shirt? The one Grandma sent for Christmas?" "Yes," their mother said. "We're all wearing our best tonight. This is a special occasion." Director Walsh had given Emma a dress for the concert. It was simple but elegant. Black with long sleeves and a modest neckline. It came with a pair of black flats that actually fit properly. Emma had tried them on the night before. For the first time in months, she looked like she belonged on a stage. The concert was at 7 in the evening. Emma arrived at the concert hall at 4. Director Walsh had asked all performers to come early for final preparations. When Emma walked into the rehearsal hall, the other students were already warming up. The air buzzed with nervous energy. Sophia saw Emma and rushed over. "There you are. I've been so nervous all day." "Are you nervous?" "So nervous I might throw up," Emma said. "Same," Sophia laughed. "But we're going to be great. We've practiced so much." What could go wrong? Everything, Emma thought. But she didn't say it out loud. Director Walsh clapped her hands for attention. "All right, everyone, listen up. We have 3 hours until the audience arrives. We're going to run through the entire program once, then you'll have time to rest and prepare. Remember what we've worked on. Play with confidence. Play with emotion. And most importantly, play together. You're not individuals tonight. You're an orchestra." They ran through the program. It sounded good. Better than good. Emma played her solo piece during the run-through, and several students stopped to listen even though they were supposed to be preparing their own parts. When she finished, there was spontaneous applause. "Beautiful, Emma," Director Walsh said. "Just like that tonight. Play from your heart, and the audience will feel it." After the rehearsal, Emma went to one of the practice rooms alone. She needed a few minutes to herself. To breathe, to focus, to remind herself why she was doing this. She sat at the practice room piano and played through Nouvelle Bianche one more time. Slowly, carefully, feeling every note. This piece was more than just music to her. It was her story, her journey, her proof that beauty could come from pain, that hope could survive in darkness, that talent could shine even when everything else fell apart. There was a soft knock on the practice room door. Emma stopped playing and turned around. Director Walsh stood in the doorway. "May I come in?" she asked. "Of course," Emma said. Director Walsh sat down on the small bench by the wall. "How are you feeling?" "Really?" Emma considered lying, saying she was fine. But Director Walsh deserved honesty. "I'm scared. What if I mess up? What if I forget the notes? What if I'm not good enough?" "All performers feel that way," Director Walsh said gently. "Every single one. Even the most famous musicians in the world get nervous before performances." "You want to know a secret?" Emma nodded. "The fear means you care. It means this matters to you. If you weren't nervous, I'd be worried. The nerves will actually help you. They'll make you focused and sharp. You just have to channel them into your performance." "How do I do that?" Emma asked. "You remember why you play. Not to impress people, not to be perfect, but to share something beautiful. To make people feel something. That's what music is for. Connection. Communication. When you sit at that piano tonight, don't think about the audience. Don't think about the judges or the critics or anyone else. Just think about the music. Think about what the piece means to you. Play for yourself first and everyone else will follow." Emma felt some of the tension leave her shoulders. "Thank you. That helps," Director Walsh stood up. "You've come so far, Emma. 3 months ago, you were a freezing girl asking to sit in a warm lobby. Tonight, you're a featured performer at one of the most prestigious youth concerts in the city. That transformation didn't happen by accident. It happened because of your talent, your dedication, and your courage. Don't forget that. You earned this moment." After Director Walsh left, Emma sat quietly for a few more minutes. She thought about that night 3 months ago. How cold she had been. How desperate, how lost. And now here she was, about to perform on a real stage. Life could change so fast. Everything could transform in a single moment if you were brave enough to take a chance. At 5:30, Emma changed into her concert dress. It fit perfectly. She looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. She barely recognized the girl staring back at her. She looked professional, confident like a real musician, not like a homeless girl in worn sneakers. Her family arrived at 6. They had seats in the 3rd row, reserved especially for them by Director Walsh. Emma peeked out from backstage and saw them sitting there. Her father in his one good shirt. Her mother in a nice dress she had bought at a thrift store. Miguel squirming in his seat with excitement. Just seeing them made Emma feel braver. The concert hall filled up quickly. By 6:45, almost every seat was taken. Emma watched from the wings as people filed in. Families with children, elderly couples, young people, music lovers of all kinds. Her heart pounded faster with each new arrival. Director Walsh gathered all the performers backstage for a final word. "This is it. Everything we've worked for. Remember, mistakes happen. If you make one, don't stop. Keep playing. The audience won't notice small errors if you play with confidence. Support each other. Listen to each other. And most importantly, enjoy this. Performing is a privilege. Not everyone gets to share their art with others. So go out there and show them what you can do. The lights dimmed in the concert hall. The audience quieted. Director Walsh walked onto the stage. Applause filled the room. She took a bow, then turned to conduct. The concert began with a piece by Bach. The strings played beautifully, their sound rich and unified. Emma listened from backstage, amazed at how good they sounded. This was the same group that had struggled with timing 3 months ago. Now they played like professionals. The Bach ended to strong applause. Then came a piece by Mozart. Then a contemporary composition by a local composer. Each piece was better than the last. The audience seemed delighted. Then it was time for Emma's solo. Director Walsh walked to the microphone at the front of the stage. Our next piece is a solo piano performance. Please welcome Emma Torres, who will play Nuvole Bianche by Ludovico Einaudi. Emma walked onto the stage. The lights were bright. The audience was a dark blur beyond them. She could barely see individual faces. Her legs felt shaky. Her hands trembled. For a moment, she thought she might actually faint. But then she saw her family in the third row. Her father gave her a thumbs up. Miguel waved excitedly. Her mother pressed her hands together and smiled with such pride that Emma felt tears threaten. Emma sat at the grand piano. She adjusted the bench. She placed her hands on the keys. She took a deep breath. And then she remembered what Director Walsh had said. Don't play for the audience. Play for yourself. Play for the music. She thought about that first night. The cold, the piano in the lobby, the desperate need to make music even when everything else was falling apart. She thought about the journey from that moment to this one. All the practice, all the struggle, all the growth, and then Emma began to play. The first notes floated into the silent hall. Soft and delicate, the melody emerged gradually, building with gentle insistence. Emma's nervousness disappeared. There was only the music, only the piano, only this moment of pure expression. Her fingers moved across the keys with confidence. Every note was exactly where it should be. Every dynamic was perfect, but more than that, the music had feeling. It had soul. Emma poured everything into it. Her pain, her hope, her gratitude, her love for her family, her respect for Director Walsh, her determination to prove she belonged. The piece built to its emotional peak. Emma's whole body moved with the music. She swayed slightly, completely lost in the performance. The piano sang under her hands. The melody soared through the concert hall like a living thing. In the audience, people were mesmerized. Some had tears in their eyes. Others sat perfectly still, afraid to break the spell. Emma's father cried openly. Her mother held his hand tight. Miguel watched his sister with his mouth hanging open, amazed that someone he knew could make such beautiful sounds. Director Walsh stood in the wings, watching. She had heard this piece before. She had heard it that first night when Emma played in the lobby. But this was different. Emma had grown. Her technique had improved. Her confidence had strengthened. And her artistry had deepened. This wasn't just good playing. This was remarkable playing. This was the kind of performance that people would remember. The piece reached its gentle conclusion. The final notes hung in the air, then faded slowly. For a moment, there was complete silence. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then the applause started. "Thank you," Emma's father said. "Thank you for seeing her. For believing in her. You changed our whole family's life." "She did that herself," Director Walsh said. "I just opened a door. She walked through it and did all the hard work." As families started to leave, a woman approached Emma and Director Walsh. She was well-dressed and carried herself with authority. "Excuse me," she said. "I'm Janet Crawford. I'm the Dean of Admissions at the Riverside Conservatory. I was in the audience tonight." Emma's heart raced. The Riverside Conservatory was one of the best music schools in the region. Famous musicians had studied there. "Your performance was outstanding," Dean Crawford said to Emma. "I'd like to talk to you about our high school program. We offer full scholarships to exceptional students. Based on what I heard tonight, I think you'd be an excellent fit." Emma looked at Director Walsh, not knowing what to say. Director Walsh smiled. "That's wonderful, Janet. Emma would benefit tremendously from that program. She's exactly the kind of student you're looking for." Dean Crawford handed Emma a business card. Have your parents call me next week. We'll set up an audition. Though after tonight's performance, I think the audition is just a formality. After she left, Emma stared at the business card in disbelief. A conservatory. A real conservatory wanted her. The girl who 3 months ago was homeless and hopeless. The girl who thought her dreams were dead. That girl was being recruited by one of the best music schools in the state. This is real, isn't it? Emma asked Director Walsh. This is really happening? It's real, Director Walsh confirmed. This is what talent and hard work lead to. Opportunities, chances, futures. The concert hall slowly emptied. The performers packed up their instruments. The lights were turned off one by one. Emma walked through the lobby with her family, still wearing her concert dress. She looked at the piano in the corner. The piano she had played that first night. It seemed like a lifetime ago, but it had only been 3 months. Can I play it one more time? Emma asked her family. Just for a minute? Of course, her mother said. Emma sat at the lobby piano. Her family gathered around. Robert came over from his desk to listen. A few remaining students stopped to hear. And Emma played Nuvole Bianche one more time. Not for an audience. Not for a grade. Not to prove anything. Just because she loved the music. Just because playing made her feel complete. When she finished, her father said, "That's my daughter. That's my Emma." They drove back to the motel that night in happy silence. Emma looked out the window at the city lights. So much had changed. Just 3 months ago, they were living in the car, parking in different lots every night, struggling to survive each day. Now they had a motel room. Her mother had kept her job and gotten a small raise. Her father's health was stable. Miguel was doing better in school, and Emma was being recruited by a conservatory. But the biggest change was inside Emma herself. She no longer felt worthless. She no longer felt invisible. She knew she had value. She knew she had something important to offer the world. She knew that her circumstances didn't define her. Her talent, her dedication, and her courage defined her. That night, Emma couldn't sleep again. But this time it wasn't from nervousness. It was from excitement, from joy, from anticipation of what the future might hold. She thought about Director Walsh's story, about being a poor girl who taught herself on a broken piano, about the teacher who believed in her, about how that belief changed everything. And now Emma understood. She understood that she could be that person for someone else someday. She could be the one who believed, the one who opened doors, the one who changed lives. 2 weeks after the concert, Maria Santos called Emma's mother with incredible news. A family housing unit had become available. Not in the distant future, now. Immediately. It was a small 2-bedroom apartment in a safe building. The rent was subsidized. They could afford it on her parents' combined income. They moved in 3 days later. It wasn't fancy. The furniture was old and mismatched, donated by a charity. The walls needed paint. The carpet was worn, but it was theirs. It had 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, a bathroom, windows, heat. It was home. Emma shared a room with Miguel. Her parents took the other bedroom. They bought a used upright piano from a music store that was going out of business. It was old and slightly out of tune, but it worked. Emma now had a piano at home. She could practice whenever she wanted. The conservatory accepted Emma for the next school year. She would start in September. They offered a full scholarship that covered tuition, books, and even a meal plan. She would be a day student, living at home but studying with the best music teachers in the region. Emma continued with the youth orchestra through the spring. She performed in 2 more concerts. Both times she played solo pieces. Both times she received standing ovations. Word spread about the talented young pianist at Whitmore Concert Hall. More people came to the concerts specifically to hear her play. Emma also started her GED program. It was hard to balance music and studying, but she managed. She took the test in June and passed with high scores. She officially had her high school diploma. On the last day of the youth orchestra season, Director Walsh asked Emma to stay after rehearsal. They sat in Walsh's office just like they had that first night. "I want to talk to you about something," Director Walsh said. "The foundation that helped your family. I've been thinking about expanding it. Creating a specific program for young musicians who face housing insecurity or financial hardship. A program that offers not just scholarships but holistic support, housing assistance, family resources, mental health services. Everything a young artist needs to thrive." "That sounds amazing," Emma said. I'd like to call it the Emma Torres Second Chance Program, Director Walsh said. Would that be okay with you? Emma's eyes filled with tears. A program named after her? I don't know what to say. Say yes, Director Walsh smiled. Your story inspired this. You showed me that talent exists everywhere, not just in privileged families. There are probably dozens of kids like you in this city. Hundreds, maybe. Kids with gifts they can't develop because they don't have resources. I want to find them. I want to help them. And I want you to be part of that. Maybe you could talk to new students. Share your experience. Show them it's possible to overcome difficult circumstances. Yes, Emma said. Absolutely yes. I want to help. I want to be that person for someone else. They hugged. Teacher and student. Mentor and prodigio. Two people whose lives had intersected in the most unlikely way and changed each other forever. In September, Emma started at the conservatory. The other students came from wealthy families. They had studied music their whole lives at expensive schools. They had traveled to Europe for summer programs. They had connections and resources Emma couldn't imagine, but Emma held her own. She worked harder than anyone. She practiced longer. She pushed herself constantly, and her unique perspective, her emotional depth, her understanding of struggle, these things gave her music a quality that couldn't be taught. She played with feeling that moved people. She played with honesty that touched hearts. Her teachers at the conservatory saw her potential immediately. You're going to go far, one professor told her. You have something special. Technical skill can be learned. But what you have, that emotional authenticity, that's rare. That's precious. Emma thrived in the conservatory environment. She made friends. She learned new techniques. She was exposed to music she had never heard before. She grew as an artist and as a person, but she never forgot where she came from. Every month, she went back to Whitmore Concert Hall. She talked to new students in the Emma Torres Second Chance program. She shared her story. She encouraged them to keep playing, keep practicing, keep believing in themselves even when things were hard. I was where you are, she told them. I know how hard it is. I know how much it hurts to feel like you don't belong. But you do belong. Your talent matters. Your voice matters. Don't let anyone tell you different. The program helped 12 students in its first year, 20 students in its second year. By the third year, it had expanded to 3 different concert halls across the city. Director Walsh's vision was becoming reality. Young musicians from difficult backgrounds were being found, supported, and given chances to develop their gifts. Years passed. Emma graduated from the conservatory at the top of her class. She received scholarship offers from several prestigious universities. She chose one that offered a full ride for both undergraduate and graduate studies in piano performance. She continued to visit home often. Her family was stable now. Her father's health was good. He had found better work with better pay. Her mother had gotten promoted at the diner and eventually became a manager. Miguel was thriving in school and thinking about college. They had moved to a bigger apartment. Nothing fancy, but comfortable. Emma's bedroom had become Miguel's. Her old upright piano stayed in the living room. Miguel had started learning to play. He wasn't as talented as Emma, but he enjoyed it. And Emma loved teaching him when she came home to visit. One spring evening, 5 years after that first concert, Emma returned to Whitmore Concert Hall for a special performance. She was the featured guest artist at the Youth Orchestra's annual gala. She was 21 years old now, an accomplished pianist who had performed at venues across the country.